On to the Big Ten. Jeremiah Smith calling out Michigan. Obviously, the Ohio State star says, I just hate them. Just something about them for the next 2 years. I promise you, I will not lose to them. I can't lose to them in the next 2 years. I saw people making some wild comparisons with this. I saw people making the comparison of this is like a Tebow speech. Like we're going to back it up and we're going to not lose again. I saw people in my fan base compared this to what Thomas Castellanos said last week against Alabama. I think that's maybe a bit of a stretch, but I can see some very loose similarities. Do you have thoughts on this, Tom? We'll start with you as the Big Ten guy. I actually love this. Now, I don't even care if they beat Michigan or not this year. I think it makes for great drama if they don't. But I don't care one way or the other how this game goes down. But I do love this. Jeremiah Smith, a national champion, maybe the most talented player, probably the most talented player in college football. I love this. We need more of this. I have no issues with it. I've even kind of changed my stance a little bit on the Castellanos thing last week. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this. Tom?
I love this. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. You believe in your team and you want to beat your arch rival who beat you last year, nearly derailed your entire postseason run. And luckily for Ohio State fans, that didn't happen. This is somewhere in between the Tebow speech and Tommy Castellanos, because Tebow was striving for something and Jeremiah Smith has already accomplished something. He's already a national champion. Tommy Castellanos has accomplished nothing and is overblowing what he did last year. So this is actually a guy who can back it up. All the things that you just said. He is absolutely the best wide receiver in college football. He is arguably the best player in college football. He could have potentially, had he been eligible, been the number one overall pick in the NFL draft this past cycle if he had been eligible. It is insane. I am very okay with Jeremiah Smith saying this, because if I was in Jeremiah Smith's shoes for that game against Michigan last year, imagine how frustrated he was, because I've heard the phrase before. I believe the Cover 3 guys call it, he's the big red easy button for Ohio State. And for some reason, Ryan Day is, we're going to be physical and we're going to run the ball and I'm going to prove that I have something between my legs that's going to go up against Michigan and blah, blah, blah. And they screwed themselves because they didn't lean into their strengths and they forgot that number 4 existed. Imagine how frustrated he was, and you never heard a peep. You never heard the guy complain. You never heard him on social media or some leak or anything like that. He did what he had to do, and he kept on moving forward. So I love what Jeremiah Smith had to say here. I believe he's going to represent Ohio State at Big Ten Media Day and later on this month in Vegas. Jeremiah Smith is going to be looked at as somebody on that offense to be a leader, because losing Will Howard, arguably the number 1 leader on that offense, it's going to be a question of, if it's not Julian saying day one, then a lot of people are reasonably going to look at Jeremiah Smith. And this is great from a guy who is a part of that national championship team and has that ability overall that naturally people are going to look to him. This is smart. I love it.
Yeah, before Cole goes, it reminds me, and when I think about that game upcoming, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, it reminds me, you guys remember Keyshawn Johnson? I don't know how you,
of course, yeah,
where he was just like, "Give me the damn ball." Like, to me, in that Michigan game, like, there will be no, and I do think Ryan Day is very much going to change the way he approaches things and, understand that, like, hey, this is how we win. But if not, I think this is the game where Jeremiah Smith says, "Get me the damn ball." Like, just throw it up. Yes, I will win you this game by myself if I have to. And I don't really think this is a bold prediction, because I think they'll be a touchdown favorite in both years. But I don't think he loses to Michigan again. I know the Michigan fans are going to comment to that. But yeah, I think he goes 2-0. Now, what happens past that, I don't know. But I think he does go back it up.
It's a rivalry.
Yeah.
It's a rivalry. What do you want them to say? Oh, we're okay with losing and that it's fine that even though we won the national title, part of our process, sitting on pins and needles, wondering where we were going to land and if we were going to have an easier pathway to the postseason, we had to suffer a loss to an insufficient offense that was headlined by 2 quarterbacks that currently aren't even on the roster anymore. Like, nobody's going to say that. You want them to act this way. You want them to be combative. I can tell you right now, Alabama fans, they hate Auburn. Auburn never has a shot of winning outside of Jordan Hare. And even then, it has to happen in the most lopsided, controversial, incredible, out of left field type of play for those things to occur. But they don't care. Saturday rolls around. We hate you. You hate us. Longhorn fans, Oklahoma fans, they hate each other. There are Longhorn fans right now who are fuming at the mouth, hearing how they're tired of people saying that Arch Manning is overrated. Meanwhile, John Matera, G5 quarterback, gets all these accolades about what he has done against this school of the dumb and the deaf. Like, that's what we're dealing with when it comes to that. You want this in the rivalry. You need this for the rivalry. It's what makes college football the greatest sport to ever exist. But like I said with Thomas Castellanos, like I'm going to say with Jeremiah Smith, you better back it up. You're okay with running your mouth. You're okay with coming out there and saying, I will not lose this team. I will not find a way to drop the ball. The Ohio State Buckeyes are running this rivalry from here on out, and then you lose by 10 points. Okay, got to eat crow. Got to accept it. You better back it on up. Now, with that being said, just keep in mind, and Tom brought this up pretty well, you had an offense that was trying to prove we are physically tough and that we have two great running backs. And then you have Jeremiah Smith finish with 30 receiving yards. That should never, ever happen, especially when you look at his success against Tennessee, against Oregon, and against Notre Dame in the national championship. Over 300 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. And you couldn't get him the ball once. He's not just the big red easy button. He literally is the big red target that says, just throw it here. I'll make the play. I will come down with the ball. I got it. Just put it in this vicinity. I'll figure it out. That's what you need to do if you are Ryan Day. And by the way, you have Brian Hartline as your offense coordinator. I can promise you, as a wide receiver turned OC, he's going to be force-feeding a Jeremiah Smith. Like, there is a part of me that says, Brian Hartline knows he's not going to get the job at Ohio State and he wants to become a head coach. His best way to guarantee that he becomes a head coach in waiting somewhere is, I'm going to get Jeremiah Smith the Heisman Trophy. Let's just go ahead and force feed him. And it's gonna happen in games where it's like he'll have 13 catches in blowout format in the first 2 quarters, and then he'll sit in the second half.
I think the Brian Hartline point is perfect because I am curious to see if it's like the inverse of last year where it's like, hey, we should be running the ball, dude. And it was like, yeah, but like I'm a wide receivers coach and I want to throw it to my guys, that sort of thing. Here's the other thing. You got Michigan planted their flag on your field last year. So you got to go to Ann Arbor this year. The big X factor in this is Bryce Underwood, the quarterback for Michigan. And what does he look like at that point in the year? Because if you go on the road and you lose to Michigan in a hostile environment again, it's a little rough. But listen, I respect Jeremiah Smith. He said nothing as a true freshman. Now that he is a national champion and is solidified as the best player perhaps in the sport, he can say some stuff. He has the credibility to do it.
I also don't really think he fired any shots.
No,
you know, Tommy had to bring up Saban and they can't stop me. And I mean, maybe, Jeremiah didn't really fire shots in it. He literally just said, we hate them. Good. You're supposed to. And we need more of that where these kids hate their rivals. I think we have lost some of that in college football and in the more mercenary era of this, in the more transactional era. Not that I have a problem with NIL or anything, like that's not my point. But I think we've lost some of that in college football, that hate for your rivals. And then he just said, we're not going to lose. Yeah. Did Kobe ever think that he was going to lose a game? Did Michael ever think he was going to lose a game? No. I mean, and even to Castellanos' credit, yeah, he shouldn't think he's going to lose either. Like, yeah, Jeremiah Smith did nothing wrong here. This was a great thing for him to say. But like Cole said, now go back it up, which I think he will.
Yeah. But also let's just keep in mind, Jeremiah Smith may be the best player in college football. Certainly the best wide receiver after having 1,300 yards. Tommy C, how long is that leash before you're sitting on the bench once again out in the ACC? That's all I'm going to throw it out there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, based on who's behind him, I don't know.
Going down with the ship.
I think it's pretty long. No matter how good or bad he is, I think that leash it's one of the longer ones in the country based on what's around him. So